This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
What piece of advice can you give to normal, regular working people to make the 3 weeks a little bit more authentic and real and connect to something that happened thousands of years ago?
So unfortunately, we're flooded often with, the worst news, which unfortunately can cause a person to be a little numb. The Brisker Rav, when he asked, should they make a separate commemoration, Yom HaVelos, a day of mourning for the Holocaust, answered that everything is a continuation, is a straight line from the Churban Abayis. So by hearing somebody who survived the October 7th, by recognizing the pain of the Bibas family, the man who lost his wife, his 2 children, honestly, how can you not feel pain?
What is your take on modern day a cappella music? Much of it sounds pretty much like music.
I don't, but the idea that you're sort of saying if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it must be a duck. That's not always true. I mean, I don't believe it ever says explicitly that there's some sort of a prohibition of listening to music. The fact that it feels like music, it sounds like music, I can't tell the difference between it and orchestration. Well, maybe the conclusion to be drawn is that, therefore, recorded orchestrated music is also permitted. I get a lot of calls from people who are suffering or struggling with mental health issues, that music is an important part of their repertoire. There are a lot of people out there who I would even call it therapeutic. Music becomes a therapeutic part of our lives. So they said, I ended up listening to talk radio on the whole way up and down because the Shia would put me to sleep in Jewish music. I wasn't allowed. So is that really what bring you closer to Hashem?
What is Sinas Chinum? Is there a definition? What's the balance between being passionate about your Messiah, your Hashkafa, and not getting into sort of cultural to territorial haughtiness?
Sinas Chinum is almost always used as an accusatory finger against my adversary. Someone will call me and they'll say, could you hold from this rabbi or not? Now,
have we done a good job in our society where I could be a proud Chassid or Litvak or Svardi or Lubavitcher or YU guy, but also respect other people? Is there ever a point where we have to tell our children that, no, I don't appreciate you, I don't think we should go there?
Broad stroking people and broad stroking individuals and groups, I think, is a big problem. But if I become part of that kehillah, to a certain extent, it's natural for me, and it's not a bad thing, it could be a very good thing, for me to think we're the best shul in town. I don't think anybody advocates you should tell your child, if it's Monday, we're bells. If it's Tuesday, we're Samer. If it's Wednesday, we're Lubavitch. If it's Friday, if it's Thursday, we're Ger. Friday is for Stalin. It's ridiculous, obviously. And then Shabbos we're BMG, and Sunday we're more Yeshivas Rabbi Yitzchok, more YU. It may be ridiculous. I think you just create a confused child, and you're from a confused parent. This group is not within the big tent. A lot, and I'm saying it very euphemistically. They're not benefiting. They're totally have corrupted anything Jewish.
What would you say to a lot of people that they don't have one central shul? They daven here and there and there. There's no major rabbinic figure in their life. Their 10th grade Rebbe that they used to be close with, they're now 45 years old, and they don't have any particular thing to be proud or to plant their flag. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, the person without the set minyan could still have a Rebbe, and the person who has a set minyan could still not have a Rebbe.
And the shul that they go to, they say one kapitel Tehillim at the end. They mumble the words while they're running out, and that's the extent of their sort of association and feeling for it.
Right. It's October 7th, as we realized, was the greatest single tragedy to the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Is that my son Tuvia, who lives in Israel, he has been serving in the army for over 300 days since October 7th by Rabbi Chaim Sverdlov, who we know is one of the real prominent Rosh Yeshivas in the world today, certainly in North America. My understanding is that Rabbi Chaim Sverdlov himself says the Tehillim, 3 kapitlach, after davening, very slow, every day. He himself does it. So when you have the Rosh Yeshiva getting up there and saying the Tehillim, and you recognize him and saying in Passaic, New Jersey, saying Tehillim for Jews in Eretz Yisrael, and it's your Rebbe, hopefully that should move you, but who stopped taking milk in their coffee since October 7th, and they still don't. Their biggest concern is what's for dinner. What are we eating for dinner? Where are we eating dinner? If we would think for a second, maybe just for a second, what's the hostages, the 20 hostages in Gaza? What's the families who lost family members? What are they eating for dinner? How do they? But I think we have to fight against very strongly, very passionately, against just having this, that's just, well, everything is fine now, or life has returned to normal. It hasn't. The mosque doesn't have an armed guard. It doesn't even have necessarily a combination lock. Walk on Fifth Avenue, New York, you walk by St. Patrick's Cathedral, the door is open, wide open. That's their whole point, the door is open. Go to Temple Emmanuel, is just a few blocks down from St. Patrick's. There, try to get in. You have to go through a metal detector, you're back at TSA, you're back at the JFK airport. I mean, there's probably never in Jewish history been a place like Lakewood, New Jersey. I mean, for the most part, to be honest with you, even though I said there's a rise in anti-Semitism, simultaneously, we live in also the safest times.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.